Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Blue Pill Podcast, everyone. This is Abe, your host. It is 8:30 p.m., July 16th, 2026. So, today's a Blue Pill episode. I've got one that I've been planning for a minute. It's going to be a little bit of a watch along. It's going to be a little bit of just commentary, a little bit of talking. I have not figured out OBS yet. I need to figure it out. Me and Sammy are still fucking around with it. It will get mastered, but this is a podcast. It's a listen along, watch along if you want, that's up to you. So, a little bit of an update. I got a tip on my Buy Me a Coffee account. Mirror D80s. I did 2 interviews with them. It's about 3 hours worth of content, honestly. So go check those out. There's a playlist on my YouTube of Mirror D80s. And there's a playlist of my interviews in general, of interviews with other content creators, interviews with just random people who have a interesting story to tell, whether it be conspiracy like Conspiracy Corner podcast, my other podcast, or honestly even Blue Pill stuff. Not the world doesn't revolve around conspiracy. Like, you can have a good conversation or listen to some good content that's not conspiracy related. That's why I started 2 podcasts. So go check out Mirror D80s. Shout out to him. Go like and subscribe to him. And if you would like to also donate to the Buy Me a Coffee, it helps. Honestly, it just helps me pay bills, man. It's down in the link below, and I will send you a bookmark. I will sign the bookmark. If you don't want it signed, you can message me through Buy Me a Coffee. So, let's get on with the show. As far as like any other info, today's going to be a Zelda related episode. I have a Zelda playlist, and I also have a video game review playlist in general. And also, if you like Blue Pill Podcast, this podcast, not so much my main podcast. My main podcast is Conspiracy Corner, but if you like this podcast, there's a whole playlist on YouTube of just Blue Pill Podcast. If you're getting wore out by conspiracy and you just want to chill out and talk normal, like Blue Pill shit, whether it be video games, I talk about everything. Blue Pill Podcast is everything non-conspiracy. And in Conspiracy Corner is everything conspiracy. I had to create another podcast because I was putting out Blue Pill episodes on my Conspiracy Corner, and people were like unsubscribing, and I'm like, well, shit, all the conspiracy theorists were like, this guy's wasted my time, I'm here for the truth, It's like, well, damn, dude. So I just created, I have 2 podcasts, but yeah, let's get on with the show. So I felt really unsatisfied last year. I went through basically, like I said, go through my Zelda playlist. Basically, I went through, and I'll list them all off real quick. I played all the Zeldas and beat all the Zeldas from Game Boy to Game Boy Advanced on original hardware. SP. And I felt unsatisfied. I beat it one summer. Yeah, it was pretty much 1 year. Within that summer, I beat all of them. And I felt unsatisfied. And I know, like, most people would say, well, you could move on to a new system, like whether it be a DS or I have a DS, I have a Switch. I could move on to another system, but I have not completed everything there is to complete as far as my Zelda journey with the Game Boy. Um, I don't know why. This is like honestly my favorite fucking system. It's portable. You can just pop it in your pockets. I have like a little pouch that I just pop it in. I can carry around 4 or 5 cartridges because even the Switch is too big. You know, I don't need all that fancy shit. I love like the whole flip pop. You know, um, I don't know. It's probably honestly my favorite system is Game Boy Advance. Um, so I was like, well, shit, dude. Like, I still want to keep playing Zeldas on Game Boy Advanced and Game Boy Color and Game Boy. So my mission for this summer is I'm on the second quest of Zelda. So I beat Zelda 1, the first quest. And I'm going to do a whole episode on the second quest. I'm going to do a whole review on it. But I'm also going to do a little bit of a backstory on how the second quest came to be, because it's very interesting as far as Zelda history. Um, I want to do more Zelda episodes. Not a whole bunch, but just one every now and then. And there's a lot of history and a lot of cool stuff that I want to get into with the Zelda game series, because it's my favorite game series as of right now. So I'm currently playing Zelda Second Quest, so look forward to that. The other day, I picked up, let me pull it out for you, Game & Watch Gallery 4 for Game Boy Advanced. Original cartridge, as far as I know. I don't think this is bootleg. No, this is original cartridge. I do have some bootlegs. Don't tell Nintendo. And you're going to probably say, well, Abe, why do you have that? That doesn't make sense. That's not a Zelda game. Yes, it is. So, I found years ago, I got into LCD games. I have multiple LCD games. Sadly, they're all in storage. Otherwise, I would show off my collection, but I collect LCD games. I have a Sonic the Hedgehog one from McDonald's. I have a race car one. I had a Space Invaders LCD. I collect LCD games. I love LCD games. And I know it's weird because like their LCD games are honestly like a horrible gaming market, but back in the day, Nintendo used to have Game & Watches. Before the Game Boy, before the S or DS, they had LCD games. So I went online and I was like, dude, I have got to get this Zelda Game & Watch. If you're wondering what the title is, by the way, it's just literally called Zelda, not The Legend of Zelda. So there's a theory as far as the timeline, that basically this is in between Zelda 1 and Zelda 2. So this is basically Zelda 1.5. Hence why it's just called Zelda. And if you actually play Zelda 2, it's literally called Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. We did a whole review on that. Go check that out in the Zelda playlist. I'll link it down below in Spotify. I'll link anything related to this episode down below in Spotify. So hang on just a second. So once I found out that they made a LCD Zelda game of a brand new story, which it does have a whole backstory and everything, I wanted to buy it. I looked online and it's like $500. $500. I've seen it for $500. I've seen it for $200. I've seen it for $1,000. The price range is all over the place. It depends on the condition. It depends on if it has the box and the booklet. And I'm like, oh, so I'm never going to be able to get this game. And sadly, you can't find emulators on LCD games. But after enough research, I found out that Zelda LCD game, Game & Watch game, is available on Game & Watch Gallery for number 4, specifically for Game Boy Advance cartridge on original hardware. And I went, I'll be damned. Looked online, I found it on eBay for like $10. So I'm like, I'm grabbing that. Here's the deal. You have to play a shit ton of different Game & Watch games to unlock that Zelda game. So I found a content creator who actually unlocked it and played it and beat it. We're going to do a watch along. And this is basically my quest that I'm going to be going on this summer when I'm not working, when I'm not doing chores, when I'm not being a husband, when it's Abe time. This is what I'm going to be doing this summer, besides podcasting. So let's do a little watch along with commentary.
The Legend of Zelda series, up until this point, has had 2 video games for the original Nintendo. They were both hugely successful smash hits, cementing Zelda as second banana in Nintendo's hierarchy. It got its own board game, shared a cold cereal with Mario, a cartoon, the whole 9. Merchandising. You get the...
By the way, this content creator is Jason Graves. I've recently subscribed to him, so shout outs to him. Thank you for the content. Hopefully he doesn't mind if I'm doing some commentary on his video. Check him out and subscribe to him, he's good people.
The idea. Then at the same time in the 80s, we had the Game & Watch, Nintendo's handheld racket before the Game Boy. Yeah, you know where I'm going with this, but did you know that the final original Game & Watch, as in it wasn't a reissue, it wasn't like the ones they put out a few years ago that had Zelda NES and Mario NES on them? The final of the original run of Game & Watches was actually The Legend of Zelda. Except it wasn't called The Legend of Zelda, it was just called Zelda. There was no surname. And I don't have it to review. Why would I? The thing...
By the way, that screen, it's actually a dual screen. It's the very few Nintendo Game & Watches with a dual screen. A lot of people think it was the inspiration, if not the prototype, of the Nintendo DS.
Is obscenely expensive. And here's the only Game & Watch I have, the Club Nintendo reissue of Game & Watch Ball. And for some...
By the way, we're going to skip around just a wee bit.
Some reason you didn't know, now you know. This is a Game & Watch. It's not actually a watch, it's a weird... What a steal! I don't know why it says this because there's actually 20, but hey, I ain't complaining. More games! According to the Zelda wiki, the one I'm interested in can be unlocked in Game & Watch Gallery 4. So, looks like I'm gonna have to track down a copy if I want to play Zelda. Whoa, 6 games in 1? What a steal! I don't know why it says this because there's actually 20, but hey, I ain't complaining. More games! Yeah! Well, the box
ABGN.
6 there from the start, but sort of 12 because every classic game...
So this is kind of cool. It's got the original Game & Watch games, but it also has like a modern version. I wish they had done it with the final Zelda Game & Watch that you unlock, because that's the final game you unlock, sadly. But I don't think they have a modern version of it, because that would have been cool. It would have reminded me of like the 2 Zelda games, that the side-scroll Zelda games that they had made for the CDI, the Philips CDI, you know what I'm saying?
Game & Watch as a Game Boy Advance reimagine, but there's also 5 more of these for you to unlock. Then there's also the Gallery games. These don't have modern remakes, they're just ports of the original machines. In order to unlock these, you have to earn stars from the main games. Every 200 points nets you another star with a maximum of 5, meaning our goal should be 1,000 points every single time, because 200 times 5. The 9 gallery games don't give stars, but the other 11 do. Naturally, Zelda is the final title unlocked in the gallery, requiring 160 stars. There's 11 games, each with modern remakes, easy and hard difficulty options, and each mode gives you 5 stars, meaning that there's 20 per game, so there's 220 total stars in the game available to collect. What I'm trying to say is you can't just bullshit your way through this. You can't just unga bunga, play a few games, get Zelda, be on your merry way. You actually need to commit to finishing Game & Watch Gallery.
So yeah, just to play this Zelda Game & Watch, this dude put in 20 hours. I'm going to have to play 20 hours just to unlock the Game & Watch. But I'm a psycho. I'm a crazy person. I'm a grinder when it comes to video games. I'm gonna fucking do it, man.
We need to get good at these games. On average, 15 stars per title. And some of these are freaking ridiculous. The most difficult, in my opinion, being any of the ones which are essentially moving something back and forth at the bottom of the screen, either catching or juggling things. Without further ado, the first game I tried was Rain Shower. Oh boy, this is rough. The premise is at least funny. You're hanging clothes out to dry, but oh no, a rainstorm. So instead of reeling in the clothes, you try to dodge individual raindrops by moving the clothes back and forth. That's a little funny, right? But in execution, this has to be one of the most boring things I've ever had to do in a video game. The design of the original machine was at least interesting because it folded out sort of like a pocketbook or a sideways DS. And there's 2 separate screens to keep track of, but it's just all here on the Game Boy Advance. We're just waiting for raindrops. That's the game. Oh boy, we have a long way to go for 1,000 points. It's not difficult. Even when it speeds up, it's pretty easy to keep track of what's going on. Hell, even at max speed, I'd still say it's way too slow. And that highlights a common problem I have with a lot of Game & Watches. They're not very proactive games. Like when you're playing Super Mario Bros., you're running to the right, and you're the one making the action happen, largely. In Game & Watches, it's more you let the game come to you, and you're just kind of waiting and reacting to things. They're all pretty big tests of patience. I would say your average Game & Watch game wears out its welcome around 100 points, and I'd say that Rain Shower wears its out at around 30. Bros, you're running to the right, and you're the one making the action happen, large. You let the game come to you, and you're just kind of waiting.
So I am going to skip ahead a little bit, because when we hit the 20-minute mark, I'm at least going to show you an unboxing of the original Game & Watch, but, yeah, basically, this dude goes through 20 hours of fucking gameplay to unlock this Game & Watch, which is what I'm going to attempt.
I even opened a third window and tried it with that. Oh man, this is free.
Also, I am ordering, I did find on Etsy, reprints of the Game & Watch box and booklet with the original storyline for the Zelda Game & Watch. We're probably not going to have time for that today, but when I do a review, once I unlock it, and once I beat it, when I do a review, we will go through the actual storyline of the Game & Watch Zelda, which is basically, like I said earlier, it's Zelda 1.5. It's after Zelda 1 and before Zelda 2. So technically, Zelda 1, Zelda Game & Watch, and then Zelda 2 are all a trilogy, technically, if the timeline is correct. I don't know. There's lots of arguments with the timeline. I'm not getting into it. I've talked about the timeline before on what I think personally my thoughts on the timeline. You'd have to look it up in my Zelda playlist. Yeah.
in chaos. No, this didn't work because the way that multiplayer works in Game & Watch Gallery 4 is with only one copy of the game. With two real systems, you would plug them in together, turn Game & Watch Gallery 4 onto one system, then go to boxing, then go to the multiplayer, and then hit power on the other Game Boy Advance, and it would then tell the game to link together. The only problem is, on an emulator, I wasn't exactly sure how to...
Which he's using an emulator. I actually bought the cart. I didn't know that you could play 2-player without 2 cartridges. So that's fucking crazy. But basically, if we sum it up, he shows each and every game. I'm not going to do like a whole review on and show you guys the whole Game & Watch of Zelda. We're going to get into an unboxing and someone actually playing it. And then, yeah. So yeah, I at least wanted to show you all this. This is something that I wish I had, but man, they're super expensive. They're super rare, but I'm glad I'm going to have at least the option to play it, you know, once I unlock it and have it in a cart form. And I did order a box and booklet. It's a reprint by somebody off of Etsy, so it'll be cool to have on the shelf.
Games PLC, Hounslow, England.
And this is from a Justin Towell.
It's got the address and telephone number. Please retain these details for future reference. So,
but I wanted you guys to see what it looks like.
1989. That's 35 years old. So amazing that Zelda has been giving so much joy for so long. But yeah, if you didn't have a NES, it would have been NES at that time. Super Nintendo wasn't out. You couldn't afford that, so you might have put this on your Christmas list instead. Now, thanks to the wonder that is the internet, we can have a look at the Argos catalogue of the time. This is the 1990 winter Argos catalogue. Argos is a UK catalogue company where you could go into the store.
We'll skip a wee bit.
Possible. I didn't have this when I was younger. This was a gift from my girlfriend more recently, a couple of years ago. And inside, we do have some instructions, but these aren't the ones that it came with. Sadly, they're long gone. I got these instead off of eBay, and it was meant...
So I'm going to have a reprint like him, as far as the booklet and the box, but I think he has the OG box.
To be a high-quality reproduction, but it's actually a low-quality knockoff, really, if you look at the quality. It's not too bad, but I did complain, and they gave me my money back and let me keep it for free, so... which is kind of them, but you shouldn't be selling knockoff stuff and saying it's a high-quality reproduction, because... I can see it's been printed, by a home printer. Never mind. Anyway, that's not what we're here today for. Instead, we want to have a look at the actual device. But before we do that, look in here. I think this is wonderful. My girlfriend calls it a trace of humanity. So it says, place this seal over battery cover to prevent babies from removing and eating battery. And one of them's been used. I think that's so lovely. Look, that one's gone. And this one doesn't quite fit flush, but it is the original one. I don't know if someone took it off and then thought better of it. But either way, I do think that's wonderful. Little trace of humanity. So keep that back in the box and have a look at the actual unit. So this is in really nice condition. And
look how pretty it is, though. It is dope looking, man. And just to pop that in your pocket and just play it whenever you're on break at work or...
Looking at it now, I didn't realise, but you can see the ribbon cable.
And that's the precursor to the DS,
it's got a link on the front, and he's facing off against some of the, all of the things that you see in the game, the enemies. And if we open it up, it's very plain to see that Nintendo kept this design for the DS and the 3DS. Look at that. So it actually still looks quite modern, I think. I don't think that looks 35 years old, does it? So you've got your D-pad here, the Holy Cross, as Tunic put it, and yeah, LCD screens. The top one has got, they've both got a little bit of, I would say LCD leak, but all the LCD actually works perfectly, so perhaps it's just what LCD screens look like. It's been so long, I don't really remember. By which I mean not LCD like we know them, but
it's a wee bit of the gameplay.
Displays that show different sprites. Anyway, so I think what I'm going to do now is switch to the overhead camera, and we'll have a close look. Okay, so let's have a look at this beautiful piece of gaming history. Got the serial number on the back there, and you can see the model number as well. And before we get into the battery compartment, let's have a look here. So, all of the stickers look in really good shape. It's a wonderful example of it.
That's a gorgeous model, man.
D-pad feels nice. It's got a rubber button there for attack. It's also got buttons for game, continue, and time.
It's in good condition, too.
Now, I don't keep it with batteries in because obviously the batteries can leak. But let's have a look here. So they need to go in here. And it says that it takes LR44 or SR44 times 2. And it says copyright Nintendo 1989 on the back as well, which you can see there. So let's get some batteries in it. Thankfully, batteries are much cheaper now off of Amazon or eBay than they used to be, because these things used to cost so much money to keep going when I was small. One in there, and it's only plastic on the back here, look, so it should make the connection itself. Let's see. Yes, it works.
Got the watch on the bottom. So,
and let's see how we can see it best. There we go.
A little bit of boomer history. Why do they call it Game & Watch? If you are a Zoomer listening and watching to this podcast, back in the day we didn't have cell phones. So we had to have either pocket watches or wristwatch, or gamers would have Game & Watch. Meaning, when you're on break at work, you can smoke a cigarette and play the game. But while you're on the clock, if you don't have time to play the game or smoke a cigarette, you can just pop it out real quick, turn it on, and it's a watch. It's a pocket watch, but it's also a game. This is what we had to deal with back in the 90s. I'm a 90s kid, so like I'm explaining this to like obviously the Zoomers, but yeah, this is the life we had. We didn't have cell phones. If you had to make a phone call, it had to be on a wired phone, either at a building you were at, or you had to pay coins to a phone booth.
Not bad. It's difficult to light it, as with all LCD things, but there we go. Okay, AM and PM. Let's have a look at the instructions. Okay, so the instructions for the time set. When ACL switch is pressed with a sharp pointed instrument and released a few seconds later, the display shown in the diagram will appear. And now we can set the time. So it's currently 11:34. Oh, up and down both move it forwards, that's funny. Okay, AM.
I want to see if he gets into the storyline of the actual game, or the gameplay at least.
Avoid the skeletons underneath.
Oh yeah, that's right. I said I'd cover the storyline later, but here's the gameplay.
Attacking upwards. And it seems basic, but actually there's quite a lot going on here. So we've got an extra heart there for finishing this one. And let's go up to the left. So in the top screen there, you can see it flashing where we are now. And also I've got to start blocking behind me by holding the attack button, which puts a shield behind Link.
So you can see,
While also guarding from
honestly,
the front.
too,
So it's quite involved.
it makes sense canonically, right? So like Zelda 1 was top down, free roam sandbox. Zelda 2 was a side scroll. There was top down free roam on a world map, but it was more RPG-ish. If this is Zelda 1.5, timeline wise and canonically, well, even just like, because I think, let's see, Zelda, this had to have been made after Zelda 1, so like this is the perfect spot for it to be between Zelda 1 and 2, especially with the story, which I said, like I said, I'll get into that on my next episode when I cover my actual review of the Zelda Game & Watch. yeah, it's side scroll now, you know. It is impressive though too also that the Game and Watch, like there's an actual dungeon map. Like you can choose like corridors, you get hearts, you get items. Some of the items are not included in any other Zelda game. Like I know one of the items is a tomahawk, which is crazy. Um, yeah, it's just it's a fucking Zelda game, like for Game and Watch. But I wanted to let what my next Zelda adventure is, because Zelda has always been dear to my heart, the game series, and I covered it a shit ton last year, and I'm gonna start covering it again this year. Um, I'm playing the second quest of Zelda 1, so I'll be doing a review on it. I'm going to unlock the Game and Watch and play it. I am ordering a box and booklet, so I'll be doing an unboxing video of that. And also, last year I played Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX, and I played it and reviewed it. This year I ordered the original Grey Cart. I've never played the original without the color, without the extras, extra side quest, extra features, all the extras. I'm going to play the very original black and white Link's Awakening, and I'm going to review it. So look forward to at least 3 new Zelda videos on Blue Pill Podcast. And then finally, I think honestly, that'll sum it up for the Game Boy Advanced and Game Boy Color and Game Boy Zeldas, and I'll have to move on to DS. It's gonna make me sad to like hang up my Game Boy Advance, you know, and be like, oh no, that's it, you know. Oh, Solomon's Club. You'll see. It ties in with Zelda. I do have, so there's at least 4 more Zelda episodes that I have planned, but I love y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed. I hope the audio turned out okay, the video. I wasn't even planning on doing one more episode today, but it's fine. I love y'all. Y'all have a good day. See you guys.